Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Chesgokene, as you know. So today's video I am going to be following up on the last video that I did concerning your application to Canada as an express entry applicant and also coming to Canada as a permanent resident. So like I said in my previous video, I am going to be breaking this video into parts. So assuming from the last video that you've done your document evaluation, you've gotten your passport, next thing to do, even as you have submitted your document evaluation papers and your application and everything, and you're just waiting to hear back from West or PEBC, the next thing to do is to prepare to write your Ielts exam. If you've not yet subscribed to this channel, please hit the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and follow me across all social media platforms. Okay, so let's begin. You're preparing for Ielts. These are the first things that you need to know. The Ielts that you're applying for to get into the pool as a permanent, as an express entry applicant or an applicant trying to come to Canada, you need to know the particular Ielts that you're writing. The English exam that you're supposed to take is the general Ielts. You know, Ielts is divided into two. There is academic and then there is general. For this particular application, express entry application, or even coming to Canada for using the provincial nomination, you need to write the general Ielts. Academic Ielts is only reserved for people that are coming here to school or people that are coming here to study. So for general Ielts, just like the academic Ielts, is divided into four parts. You have the listening part, the writing part, the speaking part, reading. So these are the four parts of the exam that you're going to be taking. So I am going to be telling you what you need to know and the materials that you need to use to study. In my own case, I used Ielts with Jay and Ielts with Liz. I am going to put their link in the description box. But before that, I am going to also write it on your screen. I used Ielts with Jay and Ielts with Liz. And one important thing that you need to know even before writing this exam, you have to have it at the back of your mind that this exam is very simple. There are a lot of people that wrote it 5 times, 4 times, some people wrote it 6 times. But don't go with that fear that, oh, because there is someone that wrote it 5 times and they failed it and they had to pay a lot of money to write and write and write again, that means my case is going to be like that. It's actually not like that. I wrote Ielts just once and I maxed out what I needed to do, the scores that I needed to get. And because of the competition happening right now in the pool for the express entry and also the provincial nomination, you really need to have a good score in your Ielts. Let's start with the speaking part. A lot of people have this notion that when they go to speaking, when they go for their speaking test, they need to speak phonetics. My sisters and my brothers, you don't need that. Honestly speaking, the people that are going to examine you, they are Nigerians themselves. That is assuming you're writing Ielts from Nigeria. They don't need you to speak phonetics because you are not in Canada yet. So please drop the phone at home. You know, there are some people that have shared their experience with me when they went for the speaking test and they are saying, and they are doing like I wanna gonna. Please, you're going to confuse the examiner further. Just speak as you are going to speak to a friend. Of course, you're going to rehearse what you're going to say. There are so many test questions online to use, so you're going to practice over and over again. Practice like you're speaking to someone, because before I wrote the exam, I had a friend that we were going to write it together. So what we did at that point is to bring questions. Tell me about a time, tell me your favorite dish. Tell me about a time you were growing up, your favorite activity growing up, you know, something like that. So I rehearsed with my friend like the storyline, what I'm going to say, and also make sure you are coherent. You're speaking to a friend, but you also want to make sure that your story makes sense. You don't want to bring story from here, bring story from here, bring story from here. At the end of the day, your story will not have beginning, it will not have end. You will be conflicting yourself in that story you're telling. So to be a perfect storyteller, in fact, that's what they are looking for, people that like telling stories. in the exam. So you want to make it short, you want to make it simple, you also want to make it coherent, you want to make the story make sense, if you get what I mean. Then the listening part. The listening part of this exam requires you to be attentive. People that have ADHD, ADD, or people that have problem listening attentively may not do well in this exam. I'm very sorry to say that, because your attention is divided. In this exam, you're given a headpiece for the listening part. You're given a headpiece to put on your head, and then when you put that headpiece on your head, the person that is speaking is not waiting for you to write down the answers before they carry on speaking. So you're listening to the answers as immediately as it's come, like you're listening to the answers, writing it down, and also paying attention to the next part, you know, just like that. So it's a continuous exam. As I'm talking right now, the answers are in what I'm saying, and you need to be attentive to, and also fast enough to write down the answer or to circle the answer and move on to the next question. So for the listening part, it requires you to pay a lot of attention. And that's where people miss it, because once you miss one question, or once you miss an answer, your mind is just like, I've missed it. Meanwhile, the person that is speaking or you are listening to in your ear is continuing with the speech, so the exam is still going on regardless of the fact that you missed one or not. So listening, please practice. There are so many practice questions on the internet. Please go to the internet and practice a lot of times. I was practicing so many questions, like twice, 3 times a day, and I'm making sure that I'm scoring at least 38 over 40 in each of those practice exams. So please practice and practice. For the writing part, I encourage you to have someone to read what you are writing. In case you're going to be giving an informal letter to write, description, in the writing part of the exam, you're required to write 2 letters. One is a descriptive essay, and the other one might be informal or formal letter. So you need to write and make sure, like in the writing, there are so many techniques involved. That's why I mentioned that you can use Ielts with J, Ielts with Liz, to make sure that you get the techniques and how you are going to write the real essay in the exam. So please do not neglect any part. The way that I practice for the writing test is also, I had a friend that was with me, so that we were writing together. So we'll write plenty essays. We'll give our friend, we'll exchange it between ourselves. She'll go through it, she'll point out, okay, this is where I'm missing it. I'm going to, I kept practicing before the exam. And this is how you can pass the exam in one sitting. Do not let fear hold you back. Then for the reading part, I hated reading. I hated reading, because the reading part is not like it's very technical, but it's not something that you cannot do. So for the reading part, you also practice severally, practice time and time, over and over again, and with that you're going to become a guru. I hope this video is able to help you out with passing Ielts in one sitting. If you have any further questions, please comment down below and I'll do my best to answer all the questions that you have. Remember to click the subscribe button in this channel, give this video a thumbs up, and share across all your social media friends, and tell your friends that are interested or willing to come to Canada that there are tips here. In the next video, I am going to be breaking down the costs, the money that you need before coming to Canada, whether you're coming as a single applicant or you're coming as a couple. I am going to be breaking down the cost of everything from the beginning of the application to the end. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for sticking by. I will see you in my next video. Bye.